Okay, so about a week ago, I went to go see Sonic 3 on opening night. So this was last Thursday. I went with Clay and I went with Billy. And I'm going to try to do what I normally do when I see a movie that's in theaters, divide the video into three sections. No spoilers, overall thoughts. Mild spoilers, going over like some specific set pieces and things that I enjoyed, but not getting into the climax or any major spoilers, and then full spoilers, where I could talk about anything. I can talk about mid-credit scenes, end-credit scenes, the climax, who dies, who doesn't die, if that's a thing that happens in the movie, etc., etc., etc. So, starting off with the no spoilers, just first and foremost, I had a great time. Go see it. Like, I feel like it's the kind of movie where if you've seen the first two or you've seen the trailers, you know if you're going to like this movie or not. If you enjoy Jim Carrey being mugging the screen and chewing the scenery Jim Carrey, you're going to have a good time. If you enjoy Sonic the Hedgehog and this character who just never stops talking shit, but can be serious when he needs to be, you will enjoy the movie. If you enjoy that video gamey feel, you're gonna like the movie. If all or none of those things, like if any of those things or none of those things at all don't mesh with you, you're probably not gonna have a good time. Um, in terms of what the plot is, like, it's not exactly one-to-one Sonic Adventure 2. There are some differences and liberties. Again, if you've seen the trailers, this is not spoilery. Gerald Robotnik is alive and is a full-on character. That is a notable departure, but I feel like still a lot of the major beats and elements you're expecting from Sonic Adventure 2 are there. I don't think this is really a spoiler to say. I think one of the biggest departures, just Rouge is not in the movie at all. She's also not teased in like a mid-credit scene, so I don't know if they're just not going to use Rouge, if maybe she'll show up in Sonic 4, but who knows. Um, I will say, without going into spoilers, I do really enjoy the fights between Sonic and Shadow. Like, it's not a spoiler to say the two of them are going to fight. I love Keanu Reeves as Shadow. There's just something about his voice coming out of Shadow the Hedgehog's mouth where I'm like, no, this feels right. It's kind of like, to me, Idris Elba and Knuckles. Like, I was talking to Clay and he was like, Idris Elba is Knuckles. That sounded so weird when I heard it. I was like, really? I heard that. I was like, I can see it. I can hear it. This sounds amazing. And what do you know? Like, Idris Elba as Knuckles has been fantastic. And I feel the same way about Keanu Reeves. When it What I really like about the dynamic between Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, and this movie in particular, is they don't feel just like, all right, like we're friends and we hang out. It's not just that we're teammates. They genuinely feel like brothers. Because that's the vibe that we have, is that Tom and Maddie have adopted them. Like, these are our three sons, and we love them all immensely. And that is kind of how it feels, and I like that. I think it's a unique take on their dynamic with Knuckles is the big brother who just does a lot of dumb shit, but they absolutely love him. Tails is the really intelligent youngest child who's just, he knows his brothers really well and is like, just kind of knows how to outsnark them. And then Sonic is the middle child who just never shuts the fuck up and always wants to be the center of attention. I like that dynamic a lot. And I gotta say, you don't see a lot of Tom and Maddie in this movie. And on the one hand, it's like, I didn't particularly miss them when they weren't on screen, but I genuinely enjoyed them when they were. I thought in this movie, like, they were used sparingly enough that they didn't feel like a distraction, but when they were used, they were genuinely really funny. And, like, there's some good moments. Like, you see it in the trailer where Tom's like, hey, you'll make the right decisions. You're a good person in here. Yeah, in my lungs. Like, it's dumb, but it's perfect kind of dumb. Like, I absolutely loved it. And I won't go into like the mild spoiler stuff with them quite yet, but I enjoyed it. There is this one joke where Tom has this little like puppet little Tom, and it only happens like a couple times, but I thought it was really, really funny. And yeah, like when it also gets to the human characters, I have to talk about Eggman. I can't say Eggman and Eggman because Gerald never goes by that. It's Robotnik and Robotnik. Also, sorry, I gotta let Princess inside. So let me keep talking about the Jim Carreys. Like I said earlier, it's Jim Carrey. He steals the show. He chews the scenery. He is going to be I remember watching the first movie, and one of my biggest problems was this did not feel like Jim Carrey playing Dr. Ivo Eggman Robotnik. This felt like Jim Carrey playing Jim Carrey. And I enjoy Jim Carrey, but I wanted to see Eggman. And I felt like in the second movie, he felt more like he was being Eggman, and I think we get that here as well. There's still a lot of moments that are just Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey. I'll talk about them in a bit. And to be honest, I enjoyed them. I thought they were very funny. I thought they were very entertaining. They're really dumb, but they're again, like the best kind of fucking dumb. I thought they were awesome. I'll talk about this scene a bit later, but when it comes to Gerald, there is this one line that he has that actually kind of gave me goosebumps. If you've seen the movie, you might know what it is. It's like, yeah, throughout a lot of the movies, like, it's me, your old fat pop with an equally fantastic walrus mustache. Ain't I just the greatest, oh, Ivo? And then there's this one moment where it's just, I am the villain of the piece. And I kind of absolutely loved that. It was a moment where I saw it, I went like, oh, right. This is the dude that's in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Jim Carrey, I don't want to be like, oh man, I don't want to say it. Because I don't want to try to insinuate that being a comedy actor is less than like being dramatic, because I don't think that's the case. I think you can, like, it takes a lot of talent to be funny and to be able to play multiple characters that can make people laugh. And like, the shit I can see Jim Carrey do with his face, like the fucking Grinch face that he can make without makeup and can just do it on command, that takes so much talent. But it's like that moment where I went, oh, right. He can play a really serious role if he wants to. He just chooses not to because this is what he prefers. And I respect the hell out of him for that. I also haven't said anything about Agent Stone. I fucking love Agent Stone. I actually think this dude's like really funny and really endearing. Like, I don't really go into this in mild spoiler. Like, there's this really short scene he has with Tails where he's just like, hey, how does it feel being Sonic's assistant? I'm not his assistant. Like, I'm his teammate. I'm his friend. Like, yeah, he does a lot of shit. I do a lot of shit for him. That's how friendship works. The same with you and the doctor, right? Yeah, totally. I'm totally the doctor's friend. It's great. I don't know. It's just, I just kind of enjoyed it. I've seen a lot of people say it's like, man, I kind of want to see Stone in the games, and I hope we keep seeing him in the movies. Like, I don't know. I'd actually be really cool with that. I surprisingly really thought the human characters knocked it out of the park in this movie. The movie's big theme, which again, you kind of see it in the trailer with the who you are in here. Yeah, in my lungs. The big theme of the movie is choices, and that you always have a choice. And you know when you're making the wrong choice. But generally speaking, not always, because there are times when you just can go too far. But even if you're making a wrong choice, you can still course correct. You don't have to go all the way with the dumb thing you're doing or the bad thing you're doing. You can still redeem yourself and do the right thing. And like, we'll definitely get into that later. The movie has a fun OST. There's this one song that plays early on, and it's a short cover of 99 Red Balloons. I think it's called by Goldfinger. And I was just not expecting to hear 99 Red Balloons in a Sonic movie, and it just made me grin from ear to ear. I was just like, yo, they did it. They played the song, guys. 99 Red Balloons is in Sonic. So there is that. It's a Sonic movie. There's a lot of one-liners. It's not all of them work. Like the Konnichiwa. I'm like, I don't know. That one just didn't make me laugh. I feel like, though, it's one of those movies where, and I think a lot of it is just kind of the charm of Sonic as a character and how much I like Ben Schwartz, because he's also Dewey Duck and they're very similar characters, is even if a line doesn't work, I just appreciate how, like, enthusiastic the character is and the actor is with it. Like, I don't know, it all feels... There's something about it that feels kind of right. Like, even if Sonic isn't funny, I don't care because he's being authentic. He's just 100% himself. And it kind of works for me. The tone is very inconsistent. Like, there's times where, like I was saying, like, there's this one line that Gerald has where I'm like, oh yeah, you are the villain of the movie. And like, this actually was like cold as hell. And then in the next scene, he's being a scorpion. I'll give more context later, but like, it's like, oh, we're back to being really silly. And then you've got in the climax, like, here's Sonic and Shadow doing their cool shit, and then here's Robotnik and Robotnik doing their goofy shit. And like, I don't know how well this works. And I think I've heard some people say, it's like, yeah, it didn't really work for me. It just felt a little off. And other people say it's kind of what made the climax so fun. So to each their own, but I do think the tone of the movie is a bit inconsistent. And I'll also just say, again, without going into spoilers for the mid-credit scene, I'm now very, very, very excited for the next movie. So obviously, like, I had a good time with it. I enjoyed it. If you think you're going to enjoy the movie, you probably will. Go see it. If you don't think you're going to enjoy the movie, I probably wouldn't waste your time with it. But now, going into mid-spoilers. So again, like the way I'm going to divide it is like going into some of the set pieces without giving away the climax, just some of the game references that I personally noticed, and then just some of the jokes that I enjoyed. So starting with the set pieces, there's a big chase scene in Tokyo. This is when Shadow is first introduced to Sonic and the boys. I guess like the first mild spoiler is the movie starts with Shadow breaking out of the gun facility, which I think is a reference to Shadow the Hedgehog. I'm just like teleporting and like beating the shit out of everyone. Like, it's cool, it's fun. Shadow just kicks everyone's ass in this Tokyo scene. Like, Knuckles goes to punch him, he just grabs his hand, twists it. It looks actually really painful. He gets a bike, starts going, has a gun, because he doesn't have a gun throughout most of the movie, but like, it's Shadow the Hedgehog. He had to be packing it at least one time. So he's on a bike, Sonic is catching up to him, and just talking shit the whole time. And I think it's in the trailer where Shadow's like, every word makes me want to hit you harder. Like, that... This is why I like Sonic. This is why even when a Sonic line isn't funny, I enjoy it. Because it's like Spider-Man. It doesn't matter if what he says is funny or not. What matters is that he's like, I'm not taking you seriously. I'm talking shit. And when the jokes stop, you really pay attention. Because that's when, the villain fucked up. I think it's a fun chase scene. You get the scene in the trailer where he's doing the Akira drift. And he's doing it like up the side of a building. It's really cool. The next big chase scene, the next big set piece takes place in London, where they're trying to break into a gun facility. So, Sonic and crew, including Tom and Maddie, are breaking into a gun facility, and the Eggmans are also trying to do that. I guess the Robotniks, are trying to do the same thing. This is like one of the codes you need to fire I don't remember what it's called, like the Eclipse Cannon, I think is what it's called. They're trying to fire the super weapon that'll, do whatever. So, as they're doing this, like, Tom and Maddie have to sneak in and use disguises of gun members, which is, like, Maddie's sister and her husband. And it's these actors playing someone else, playing them in, like, a face-off kind of way. And it's pretty fun and very entertaining. There's this whole bit with the Robotniks trying to get past a bunch of lasers, but the lasers don't hurt them because of a suit that Eggman made. So it's just Jim Carrey doing this large, long, elaborate dance sequence through the lasers. And it's like, yeah, it's more screen scenery eating and shit and all that, and I'm having a good time and I don't care. Then when everyone gets in the room, there's like this big gravity thing, and some of it is anti-gravity, some of it is super gravity. And then you've got Jim Carrey just like fucking sliding and slug crawling his way to get to the thing. And it's a fun time. It's a good time. That's basically it for that. There's this one scene in Tokyo where after Shadow kicks their asses, they go to a Chow Garden. I'll talk about that in the reference. But they go to, like, an anime cafe. It's like, it's the Chow Garden. And then a gun, like, commander just kind of shows up and starts giving exposition. And I was laughing really hard. Not because the exposition is funny. There's just... You remember that episode of SpongeBob, the Every Villain is Lemons with Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy? Where the superheroes are chilling, and then a dude just shows up and they go, "Oh gosh, it's the Chief. Thank you, Quickster, but we all know who I am." And then just starts, like, telling them shit. That's kind of how it felt. Like, it felt really weird and oddly paced, and the bizarre nature of it just kind of made me laugh. I don't remember if this dude was in the first two movies. I'm assuming he was, and I just forgot. But, oh well. And then, yeah, like, the other, I think, major mild spoiler set piece is Shadow and Maria, which, if you know anything about this game, you know how that goes. The backstory is, like, he was created to be the ultimate life form, although here it's like he's from another world, and they were studying him because they thought he was the ultimate life form. But he became very close with Maria Robotnik. They were besties, and I don't remember the line she told him. She, like, talks to him about stars. She's like, yeah, but they're talking about the stars and how, you know, because of the way that light works, even if you're seeing the star's light, it doesn't mean the star is still there. And the Shadow's like, you know, even though the star is gone, you can still see its light. I'm like, oh, I know exactly where that's going. Like, ooh, yikes. And then, yeah, you know, she gets killed, and it's what causes Gerald to want to, like, destroy the world. It's what makes Shadow want to destroy the world, blah, 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 blah. So... getting into the references, like I said, they have just an anime cafe, and that's the Chow Garden, and I thought that was just really cute and really fun, and that's where you get that Detective Pikachu joke from the trailer, which I also think is really funny. I just love seeing Knuckles look at Tails and go, "Pika Pika," like, that's just funny to me. That's absolutely peak. So there's a scene, it's when Sonic and Shadow first meet each other, where they're both like, "Hey, you're like me. Well, I'm not like you, you're like me." They never do the, "I found you, faker. I think you're the," like, they never do that bit, and I really, really wanted them to. It's like, that felt like we're making a reference to it, but we're not quite doing it. Also, because when Eggman joins the party, which again, like you see in the trailer, he's joining the party because someone else is using his tech, and then, of course, that ends up being Gerald. He keeps saying, he's like, "There's an imposter," and I was hoping when he first saw Gerald, that's how they would do the reference. It's, "I found you, imposter. Imposter? You're the fake Robotnik around here," or something like that. It would have been like, oh, that would have been kind of a neat little twist on it, and they just didn't quite do it. Like I said earlier, there's no Rouge, or, like, I don't know, who else is Sonic Adventure the 2? Sonic Adventure the 2 battle. But, she's not in it. Amy does not play a role in the story either. Is there another character? That's all I could think of off the top of my head. Like, obviously there's no, like, Silver or anything. There's this one bit where they talk about how Knuckles is afraid of ghosts, and they make a joke about them watching Casper together and Knuckles being scared of Casper, which is funny as fuck. And I think that's kind of supposed to be a reference to the fight with King Boom Boo, because that never happens. And after they talked about it, I was like, I hope they now have to fight the ghost, because Knuckles talks about how scared he is of it. But I think that's just a reference to that. That was kind of fun. There's a scene early on where Sonic, like, races his brothers, and he goes past, like, a signpost that spins, and you hear the dun 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 dun. I thought that was neat. There is a Green Hill motif. There's a scene when they jump out of the helicopter, and, like, the formation they're in with Tails at the top. I'm like, oh, this is like their flying formation from Sonic Heroes. Like, that's kind of neat. Off the top of my head, that's everything. At least that's everything I could really think of. There's probably plenty of other shit that I missed. And then just talking about some jokes that I liked. Like I said, there's the Detective Pikachu one from the trailer. There's, when they're in London, Sonic's, like, running around doing shit, and at one point, he's, like, walking down Abbey Road, like, does all the poses of all the Beatles. I enjoyed that a lot. There's this fucking scene in London where the Robotnik's like, "Okay, here's the plan, we're gonna do this. Shadow, you stay behind. Stone, you're gonna babysit the Hedgehog. Cool. And Shadow's like, I want to get my revenge for the people who wronged me. And Stone's like, cool, I want to make guac. You want some guac? Revenge guac. And it's Keanu Reeves as Shadow the Hedgehog saying the words revenge guac. Seriously? It's like, it's not a funny line, and it's not even that the delivery is that funny. It was just the sheer absurdity of what was happening. Like, I swear someone said to themselves, I can have Keanu Reeves as Shadow the Hedgehog say the words revenge guac. I'm a genius. And you know what? They are. It's so weird that it absolutely worked. There's this scene where, I think you do see it in some of the trailers, where Stone is shaving Eggman, and from what I understand, like, no, that actually just happened. Jim Carrey had all this hair, and I don't remember Stone's actor. I think it's like Lee something. Like, he actually does that live as part of the movie. I think that's kind of fun. When Eggman is first seen, he's watching a telenovela, which I always just enjoy watching characters watch telenovelas. And there's a scene later with Shadow watching the same telenovela with Stone, and it's like these two brothers are fighting over the woman they love, Gabriella, and Shadow just, Gabriella should kill them both. She's not a prize to be won. And again, Keanu Reeves is Shadow the Hedgehog commenting on a telenovela and taking it that seriously, to me, is comedy platinum. It's so funny. Like I said, there's the scene of Eggman and Eggman dancing through the lasers, but there's another scene before that with, again, it's a Robotnik. I keep saying Eggman and Eggman, but it's technically Robotnik and Robotnik. But the two Robotniks are making up for lost time, and there's this montage set to the Beach Boys, wouldn't it be nice, of them just like on a roller coaster and like teaching Robotnik how to like ride a bike. The part that cracked me up is the Santa thing, where you've got Gerald Robotnik in a Santa suit as Eggman is like wearing like his little Christmas PJs and is like peeking to see Santa and like fucking tackles him into a Christmas tree. It's so fucking funny. So I think that's about it without going into the full spoilers. So I will just give a short countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full spoilers are live. Like I said, the theme of this movie is choices. Shadow and Gerald make a choice to end the world. We are going to use this weapon to blow up the entire world, as I described it like to Clay and Billy afterwards. Like, yeah, they basically just said, I'm going to cast Fireball on the entire planet and everything's going to be gone, including us. Because Eggman doesn't know this. He just knows, cool, I'm going to help Pop get this weapon, and we're going to take over the world and rule the world. It's going to be amazing. And he goes, yeah, well, there's a part where Shadow is talking to Stone. He tells him there's not going to be anything left to rule when we're done, which makes Stone go, huh, what? And then Eggman ends up finding out about it. Excuse me. And Eggman makes this plea to his grandpa, like, hey, you don't have to destroy the world. I mean, we found each other, didn't we? Like, you know, you want to do this because you lost your family, but I'm your family. We've been bonding. Can't we rule together? And that's when you get that moment where Gerald looks at him and just says, oh, Ivo, you're no Maria. And that was cold. That was ruthless. And I loved it. Like, it really, like, you've just seen this dude be this big, jolly, I don't know. I lost the word I wanted to use there. I don't know. I was just going to say round. This jiggly, jolly old coot. And you see the genuine evil in him in that moment. And I really appreciated it. The other major thing is during the London scene, Shadow kills, because he's not dead, because of course they weren't going to actually do it, he seemingly kills Tom. And when that happens, Sonic loses it. He's like, no. That's my friend. That's like my big brother, best friend, dad character. He's kind of like everything everywhere all at once. I am going to get my revenge. There's an earlier scene where they talk about, like, hey, like, can't we just use the Master Emerald and go supersonic and do this shit? And they're like, no, we made a vow. We ain't going to use that shit unless, like, we need to because the emeralds have to be protected and blah, blah, blah. Cool, sure. And Sonic's just like, Knuckles, I need the emeralds. No, I'm not giving them to you. We made a vow. We made a pact. And you're doing this because you want revenge. I'm not letting you use these for revenge. Knuckles, I'm not gonna ask you a second time. And, like, they are about to go to blows, and Tails is trying to be like, hey, like, you're my big brothers. Don't do this. Don't do this. And then Knuckles backs down. Knuckles just gets him with the, I don't like that you're doing this. Like, it breaks my heart that you're doing this. But you're my brother, and I love you, and I still trust you to make the right decision. If you want to do this, here's where you go to get them. So Sonic gets that shit, goes supersonic, and goes into space and, like, punches Shadow out of the space station. And then they start fighting, and they start beating the shit out of each other. What I love about this scene, so number one, there's that scene from the trailer, which if you've been on Twitter, you've seen it everywhere, where it's just a Shadow, like, standing like this, because in the movie, he's Super Shadow in that shot, and, like, they hit it well in the trailer. It's really neat. Throughout the fight, and I think it is after he turns Super Shadow, I love that he is chastising Sonic. And not just like you're weak, you're annoying, you think you're good enough to be my fake. No, he hits him with you're making the same decision that I am. You were talking about how you always have a choice, you don't have to choose violence. And you just lost someone that you care about, and you're doing the same shit that I am. That feeling you have right now, imagine stewing on that for 50 years. And then maybe... Was that the dog? I thought I let the... No, you are. Like, are you okay? Oh, she's just sitting there. She's been chewing on her toy. I think she's completely fine. I don't know what she's doing. Hi, princess. Anyways, like, imagine stewing on that for 50 years, and then you can tell me I'm doing something wrong. Then they start fighting. They start, like, going through, like, a bunch of different places on Earth. Like, they're at the pyramids. I think they're probably in, like, Rome at some point. And it just reminded me of a scene near the end of Worm when Eidolon is fighting Zion. And, like, they're going through all these different, like, parallel worlds, just beating the shit out of each other. Like, this is cool. This is amazing. And they end up going on to the moon, where Shadow is out of super form, and Sonic has him dead to rights. He's like, okay, do it. Like, get your revenge. You won. You beat me. Take it. He's like, do it. Hit me here. And then that's when Sonic remembers Tom, the in the lungs thing. And he's like, I made the wrong choice. I'm not with my brothers. I'm not with Maddie. I'm not with Tom. And it's not because I'm like, hey, I have to go save the world. It's because I wanted revenge. I discarded the people I loved for this. And that's not the person I am. This is wrong. I can't follow through with it. So he doesn't kill him. And you just get this scene of Sonic and Shadow sitting on the moon and just talking. And it might be my favorite scene in the movie. Okay, I know what my favorite scene in the movie is. We'll talk about it in a bit. It still happens to Sonic and Shadow on the moon. But you're just like, like, Sonic talks about how he's lost someone else, because he lost Long Claw in the first movie as part of his backstory, and Shadow asks him, he's like, well, did that pain ever go away? No, like, it never does. But when you let other people in, it helps. You still feel that loss, but you gain other things too. And I don't remember what he says. Like, he says something to kind of make Shadow think of it, but then Shadow thinks of Maria, and like, even when you don't see the star, you still see, even if the star is gone, you still see its light. And he's like, I have made the wrong choice. I don't want to destroy the world. I don't think it's what Maria would have wanted. So he and Sonic are like, all right, let's go back to the thing. Let's make the right choice. And let's stop the Robotniks. And you get this scene where, this is my favorite bit in the movie, they dap each other up, both immediately go into their super forms, and Live and Learn starts playing. Now it's like a orchestral version, but you still get the vocals, and it's like it plays in certain parts in the climax. It's really cool. It's not like a one-to-one Live and Learn moment, but it's really fucking cool, and I loved it. Like I said, and then making the right choice. Shadow makes the right choice. And then you get Eggman making the right choice. Because he does not want the world to be destroyed, and he starts actively fighting against Gerald. Which, yeah, as you're getting the Sonic and Shadow shit, and then they're like, fighting a bunch of robots and trying to stop the space station from firing. They like block the lasers, so they're both super. You get Jim Carrey pulling on Jim Carrey's mustache as Jim Carrey is pulling on Jim Carrey's mustache. Like, okay, not the stash. All right. 3, 2, 1. They both let go, and I was thinking to myself, I kind of wish they both would have held on. That would have been kind of funny to me. Gerald starts doing, get the scorpion shit, and then Ivo gets some praying mantis shit, and you get Robotnik fighting Robotnik, and it's really weird. And here's the thing. I think it's funny in a vacuum, but with the shit we've got going on outside and that cold as ice line from Gerald earlier, it now feels really out of place. But Gerald beats Ivo, and it's like, any last words? And I don't remember what Ivo... Or I think I was like, can I save my last words? It's not going to be something stupid like, I love you, is it? No. And then, he gets kicked into space, but that's when Tails and Knuckles show up, and they save Eggman, and then Eggman uses one of Sonic's quills, and because he's super, it's now a supersonic quill, pokes Gerald in the ass, which sends Gerald flying into the machine, and he just gets, bug zapped out of existence. And it's so funny and so, violent and so sudden. I was both, and also just, I'm in shock and I'm laughing at the same time. It was so fucking weird. But yeah, here's Tails and Knuckles also making the right decision, which is, look, Sonic did something stupid and we don't have to like it. That's still our brother, and we need to help him. We need to help him save the world. We need to be there for him if he needs us. Let's do what we can. So the two of them and Eggman are, moving to fire the laser, which ends up hitting the moon you've seen on the trailer. So, yeah, he's pissing on the moon. And, sorry, brain stop for a second. Sonic falls out of Super and starts falling down to Earth like Goku at the end of Battle of the Gods. So you've got Knuckles grabs Tails and throws him like a baseball on Tails' request so he can go save Sonic, and then Tails passes out, so then Knuckles goes down and saves both of his brothers. On the ship, Eggman gives he's like, it's my final live stream. I was like, I was hoping he would at least say I've come to make an announcement. He didn't. But he makes his final announcement where he's like, I'm going to save the world, and this one goes out to Stone, blah, blah, blah. And at one point he's like, you're not a sycophant. You're my sicko friend. And then he explodes and dies. And Shadow does the same thing, although in the end, the end credits, you see that Shadow's fine because, of course, you don't see that for Eggman. And so there's a part of me that goes, okay, there's maybe a non-zero chance that Shadow used, Chaos Control, well, they never call it that, but used Chaos Control and, saved Eggman. There's a non-zero chance that with what'll happen in the next movie with time travel, shenanigans, and alternate worlds, Eggman might be we might get Jim Carrey from a different world, so it's all okay. They also just straight up might have killed Jim Carrey. Because maybe he did make it clear. He's like I'm retired. I came back for this, but I don't want to do a fourth one. So I don't know. I feel like they showed it, but they didn't show it. And again, Chaos Control, there's all kind of weird bullshit you can do. It's possible, they're kind of leaving the door open in case they want to bring Jim Carrey back, in case he wants to come back. But I'm just going to assume that, yeah, Eggman fucking died. Let's see. I talked about that. So then the only thing left to say is the mid-credit scene. So a day or two before we saw the movie, Clay and I had a conversation. We're like, who do you think we're going to see? And Clay had said, I think it's going to be Amy, because Amy's like kind of more or less the next main character in the series. So you probably would tease her. I'm like, I get that, but I don't know, because I feel like seeing Shadow is like you know exactly what they're going to do next. And Shadow is such a like popular character that it's going to like drum up a lot of attention. I feel like you're not just going to say like, hey guys, we're going to have Amy next. Like you're probably going to want a character that really teases what the next plot is going to be about. I'm going to say maybe Metal Sonic, because you're like, all right, this is the shit that we're going to deal with now. Like, he's a big problem. So during the mid-credit scene, Sonic's racing his brothers. He goes way too far and ends up in Central Park. And he gets attacked by something. I'm like, wait, is that Shadow? That's Metal Sonic. They did it. They're bringing in my boy. So, I don't know, maybe we're about to get like a Sonic Heroes arc and like some Metal Overlord shit. I'm hyped for this. And then there's a lot of Metal Sonics, and I was not expecting that. And then this pink blur shows up and beats the shit out of these Metal Sonics, takes off her hood, and it's Amy Rose, and that's how it ends. It's like, Clay and I were both right. That's just neat as hell how that worked out. So, that I think is kind of fun. I saw someone on like YouTube, I don't remember their name, so I can't shout them out, but someone had said, this feels like a Smash Brothers, like this is Amy's Smash reveal trailer. Like it kind of does feel like one. It's weird how well that worked out. I really enjoyed it. So as to what I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be Sonic CD, like some combination of Sonic CD and Sonic Heroes, where in either like their world or in the future or some shit, you have Metal Overlord. And he has all these robotic clones of himself, or like his robot army that he is sending to do his bidding. And he's basically Skynet. And so like with Skynet, like a Terminator, they have sent someone either back in time or back to the other world to get Sonic to be their great hero, to take him back, to help beat the Metal Overlord and shit. So, yeah, I think the plot of Sonic 4, because from what I understand, Sonic CD is all about like you gotta stop the bad future and like go to all the different worlds and shit. And it's also Metal Sonic and Amy. I think the plot of Sonic 4 is basically going to be Terminator 2, but with Amy Rose as like the T-800, Metal Sonic as the T-1000, and also Skynet, and Sonic the Hedgehog as John Connor, and I guess kind of Sarah Connor at the same time. And that sounds really fun. So I'm assuming, like I said, we're going to have a lot of either time travel or alternate worlds, or maybe a little bit of both. So we might get Eggman still. I assume we're still going to get Shadow, Knuckles, and Tails. If we are going to, like, this is Sonic's world, we're probably just going to see a whole bunch of other people. Like, we might see Rouge, Cream. I really hope we see the Chaotix Trio. I really like the Chaotix Trio. But that's what we might even get Big and Froggy. I don't know how much of Tom and Maddie we're gonna get in that case. There's a non-zero chance that Sonic's like, hey, we're gonna go to my world. Like, I want to bring you guys. Like, you've seen I've seen your home, see mine. Or they might be like, all right, we'll stay behind and like we'll hold the fort down over here. We might see Eggman maybe in an alternate world or some shit, or it's like, yeah, because of time travel shenanigans, we saved Eggman to bring him back, or blah, blah, blah. I don't know, we might see some cool shit with Stone. I hope so, because Stone didn't die, and I like Stone. That's where we're at. The movie was a good time, overall. I really enjoyed it. I'm now really, really excited for Sonic the Hedgehog 4, Terminator 2 edition. I guess Sonic 4 Judgment Day. But those were my thoughts on the movie. I hope you've had a chance to see it. I hope you enjoy it. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, week, and year, and 2025 kicks ass.